Hello, you're watching the Daily Jam. My name is Jamal Salem. This is episode number whatever. I haven't made an episode in a while. Life's just been happening, and I haven't been certain what I want to do with these episodes. But I've had a few questions in recent times posting my drumming videos on social media. And the most recent question was to do with how I developed my sense of timing and I guess my sense of rhythm in my improvisation. And I thought that was a really great question. And it's something I can't fully encapsulate even in this episode. I would need perhaps like a PowerPoint presentation next to me. Maybe I'll build that one day, but it's just not going to happen right now. I'm a student at university. I teach. I do gigs. It's just not going to happen right now. But perhaps in future I will put this together, but for now I'll just give you the ideas. So first of all, what you want to do is practice keeping a steady pulse with one limb, for example, your hi-hat foot. So keep a steady pulse, and then with your remaining body around the drums, your remaining limbs, just practice moving around freely. Not even necessarily in time or in the grid, but just so long as you keep the pulse going, you keep maintaining that pulse, let's say in your hi-hat foot, while you improvise freely. Kind of like what I'm doing now. I'm keeping a pulse by clapping, and I'm talking over the top freely. I'm not worried about where my voice falls in relation to the pulse. I'm just talking freely. But I'm also keeping the steady pulse. So first you want to practice doing that just so your body also feels free to move around wherever it needs to. So feel free to reach to unusual places around your drum set. Explore all those unusual motions, even if they feel wrong. You have to at least go there, just so you know that it's possible. And so if you find yourself in a fit of inspiration during a performance that you want to go there, you've already previously attempted going there, so there's a familiarity there. And so step one is doing that. You develop a kind of freedom with your body while keeping a steady pulse. Now you can go further with this and keep that pulse with your voice. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or some people use syllables. I'll use the syllable like tick, 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 tick. And do that same thing of improvise freely around the drums, or pick one drum or two sounds, voices, or just move freely around the drums, but you're not allowed to lose that pulse that you're maintaining with your voice. And the reason this is good is because it strengthens your inner metronome, your inner sense of pulse, without relying on one of your limbs to be in a kind of, to be in a kind of repetitive autopilot motion, keeping a pulse like clapping. This allows you to localize that pulse within your chest or yourself, your heart, your lungs, your voice, whatever, your inner metronome. So then you'll be grounded with an internal sense of a pulse rather than relying on one of your limbs to keep the time. So that's another thing to practice. The third thing I'll mention is work through a book like Ted Reed's Syncopation. So I was fortunate enough to learn drumming just as the internet was gaining popularity, just as YouTube was coming out. So I had this little period before YouTube when there was basically like Drummer World. There was that website. There was a website one of my teachers showed me called drumbum.com. I think it's still around. But there was only a handful of websites. And the beauty of this was, well, it was just easier to get information because wasn't oversaturated with information. And the consensus seemed to be that books like Ted Reed's Syncopation, as well as there's another classic book. What is it? Is it Gladstone? No, it's not Gladstone. There's a book. There's a book on hand technique. Anyway, if I think of it, I'll say it. But I've only used that book a little bit. But for me, the big one was Ted Reed's Syncopation. It was the first book my first drum teacher ever told me to purchase. And honestly, it sat in my room unopened for a number of years. It wasn't until I went to jazz school. I studied jazz at university. And prior to that, I'd never really listened to or studied jazz. That's why I thought it's a good idea to go study jazz, because I've got no idea what it's about. So it wasn't until I was at university studying jazz, that's when I started to understand the idea of syncopation. And I'm still learning not just the idea of syncopation in the sense of what the word actually means. And really briefly, the word just means going off the beat. So here's the main pulse. Syncopation would be, instead of bum, 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 syncopation would be bum, 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 ba, 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 da, 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 da. All those instances where the emphasis shifts to the offbeat or the space between the pulse. Da, 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 da. A lot of the time when I'm improvising, I feel like I'm either shifting between being on the beat or shifting to off the beat. So, working through the Syncopation book, I also personally recommend Benny Greb's Language of Drumming, I think it's called. I got that DVD when I was maybe 15, just whenever it came out. So that would have been 2005, 2006 maybe 2007. Somewhere around there, that DVD came out. And then there was an accompanying book which came out later. I just had the DVD. But the DVD, you could put it into your computer and it would have the actual PDF in the computer, in the DVD, on the DVD. You had the PDF files, so you could follow along with the exercises, but you just watch the DVD. But the idea is, it's not like it's an original idea. The originality is in how Benny Greb presented the information, which I found very innovative. But the idea has been present even just studying drumming books through history, where there is a language to rhythm. There's like a set amount of letters, like an alphabet, particularly in 4/4 time signature. If we're working with a 16th note subdivision grid, there's only a set amount of possible rhythms within that grid, and they form a kind of alphabet. So the idea is, if you practice each of those letters, you're pretty much prepared for whatever rhythms may come at you, whether you're reading music or whether you're improvising, because you've practiced mathematically every possible position of rhythm. So I really recommend working through that book or anything similar to those, but they are my recommendations. Ted Reed's Syncopation. I think is it Syncopation for the Modern Drummer? Ted Reed's Syncopation and Benny Greb's Language of Drumming really, really helped me. And the idea being, you work through each of the letters of the rhythmic alphabet, work through them very, very slowly with the metronome, really, really slowly. Work through them. You want to do it super slow and super relaxed and super clear and confident, no ambiguity, super clear, super relaxed, super slow. And then the idea being, as you gradually increase the tempo, you maintain that same level of relaxation. Because as drummers, our tendency is, when the tempo increases, we tense up. We assume, I've got to really tense up, because I've got to squeeze the rhythms out of me because it's going so fast. I got to be really, really tense. When in fact, the inverse is actually true. The faster the tempo gets, you actually want to relax more. You want to do smaller motions. You want to maintain a cool distance from what you're actually playing. So that's another point as well. Work with a metronome, but also spend time working without a metronome, but also work with a metronome and realize there are many ways to work with a metronome. It doesn't just have to be like cluck, cluck, click, cluck, cluck, cluck. You can put the ticking, the incessant ticking of the metronome, you can put it on the offbeats, like 1 and 3 and 4 and 2 and cut and cut. You can put it on the E, like 1 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 2 up, cut up, tick, cut up, or the 1 E up, up, up. You could put it like doing a dotted crotchet, like dup, 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 cut, bup, dup, bup, dup, dup. So get creative with how you use the metronome, and it starts to become like a percussion player that you're jamming with, rather than the incessant ticking of the beating heart, the mechanical heart. So work with the metronome and just, I mean, you just want to practice freestyling. That's why in my videos I like to demonstrate how it's very much like language. Like if I go shaka-ga-da-ga-ga-da-ga-da, boom, I should be able to play that on the drums. And there's like myriad of different combinations and orchestrations that I can do to play that exact thing that I'm singing with my mouth. It should come out as effortlessly as that. When I improvise, I don't think about timing or counting at all. I think about time. No, I don't. I don't think about it. You sense it. You start to sense the timing. Like, think about it. You've been listening to music that's in 4/4 time signature your whole life. A lot of the time, you actually just need to get out of the way. You need to get out of your own way, because your thinking mind will think you into a state of low confidence in your abilities. It's kind of like you've got to trust in your spidey senses. You already can sense when a bar of 4/4 is complete. You can count it out for the sake of analysis, but you actually deep down can sense it. You just need to get out of your own way. That's my belief anyway. And if you're really struggling and you actually can't sense that, well then, I mean, you can book in for a lesson with me or someone else, local or whatever. You can actually get help with that. But my deepest belief is that you probably just need to get out of your own way. And just think of it like communication. So when I improvise, and I'll put up videos of myself improvising, I keep a pulse with my left foot, more so to communicate to you, the listener, the audience, where the pulse is. So you're not just confused in a barrage of noise. No, the glare's really happening. Oh well, you can still hear me pretty well. So I play the pulse as a reference for you, the listener, so you can follow along and know where I'm at. You can be right there with me in my stream of consciousness. Because if I don't play that pulse necessarily, you may get lost in the noise. So that's why I keep the pulse, but I don't even think about it beyond that. Like I'll think about it functionally, like I'm going to keep the steady pulse. I'm going to make it explicit for the listener. But that's about it. I don't say to myself, 1, 2, 3, 4. I just feel it, baby. You just trust your expression. Like when you talk, you just talk. Oh, sorry if I bumped the mic and it made a sound. But you just talk. Like if someone just jumped in front of you and said, what would you like to order? You would just, maybe you'll stutter a bit, but you would just talk and say things even unconsciously. And it's the same And like you just gradually you find rhythms that you like. That was another answer that I gave to this question was I also love listening to a lot of Afro-Cuban music because they hit this rhythm a lot of the time. To me, I call it the one E one E two E three E four E ba 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 da da ba 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 bum bow two cha cha ba da ba 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 boom ta 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 ba 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 da da three E four. And for me, that's such a whack rhythm that I have to sit there and practice it a lot because it's not as simple to me as like bum 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 bum. A rhythm like that is really straightforward to me. But the rhythm that's like da 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 gaga da papa da papa da boom boom da babo da baba da ba I feel like really imbalanced with it, so I practice it a lot. So I probably sing it a lot because it's unusual. But once you see, it's just like it's almost two-dimensional or one-dimensional rhythm. Lagak da baba da baba da bum boom brakam bum bijiba da badum sakap boom bakapak gum bakapak dum balada baba da 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 badum. It's like very linear. One note comes after the other in a sequence. Sakap ba bijiba da ba do balaba da da ba bum bum balaka bum boom. And then it's just a matter of how you orchestrate it on the drums. You could play that on the snare, ka 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 ka, on the tom, do 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 do. Floor tom, do 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 do, kick drum, you know, and then you could do a combination, boom, boom, ping. I know that probably sounded crazy, but like that is actually what's going on to me. So anyway, that's what I suggest. So practice improvising freely while keeping a steady pulse with one of your limbs. I suggest starting with your left foot. Keep a pulse, chick, 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 ta 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 juk juk juk, and just practice doing that over and over. And over time, you'll almost get bored because you'll be like, I feel like I've tried every rhythm, and that's when creativity starts to happen because you've really got to start reaching for new ideas because everything's getting a bit too familiar. Which comes back to why I spend periods where I don't practice as well. I'll go for periods where I don't practice for a long time, and I find my drumming actually gets better because I'm not overthinking it. So I'm not like over careful with it. And it also keeps it fresh because it keeps that element of surprise where like I could totally fuck this up because I haven't practiced. I'm not in my safe zone. So practicing keeping a steady pulse with the left foot. Practice keeping a pulse with your voice. Chick, chick, tick, 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 ding, 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 ding. See, I already lost it. So practicing doing that, playing with it really, you're just playing around with it. It's actually a lot of fun. What else? Working through the Syncopation book, Ted Reed's Syncopation for the Modern Drummer. I also recommend Benny Greb's Language of Drumming. And working on all the rhythms, so that's like working on the alphabet of rhythm, you could say. And listening to lots of unusual rhythmic music, like going outside of rock and pop, because it's a lot of the time, it's the same stuff you've heard a million times. And the stuff that gets interesting and exotic is because they borrow from different cultures. That's when you'll hear like unusual rhythms in pop music, Western pop or American pop, whatever you want to call it. So for me, it's Afro-Cuban music. I love Afro-Cuban drumming, percussion, soloists, changuito. I mean, you could look up Tito Puente, but just look up, what is it called? Timbales, timbale players, timbale solo, conga players. What's that? There's like a famous conga player. What's his name? Hernandez something, Horatio. No, that's someone else. Anyway, but just look up Afro-Cuban drumming if you want some inspiration. And just Afro-Cuban music. And practice with the metronome, but get creative with the metronome as well. And that should overall really help your timing with your improvisation. And hopefully by the end of that process, you'll start seeing some more freedom in your playing. The goal is, like, I'm not counting at all. I'm not counting. I'm just thinking about the shape of the overall improvisation. I want it to have shades of light, shades of dark, quiet, loud. I want it to go up. I want it to come down, peaks and valleys. I want contrast. And I want to build tension. Repetition builds tension. Repetition builds tension. Repetition builds tension. Repetition builds tension. Because you're waiting for the moment for it to resolve. And the really mature artists, not just drummers, not just musicians, but even writers, they sit in the tension for a long period of time. They're not rushing to resolve the tension straight away. They can build the tension over long stretches of time. Filmmakers. So, building the tension and release. I'm more thinking in those terms. I'm not even really thinking about counting. It's only when I'm practicing, that's when I'm like counting. But when I improvise, I'm just communicating, I'm expressing. Anyway, I hope that's useful. Let me know your feedback in the comments below, what you'd like to see more of, or whether you disagree or agree, what really helped in this video, how I can make it better. Anyway, happy practicing, and I wish you all the best on your drum journey. Peace out.